Hey, how's it going? Sebastian Cruz here, head coach of the Elite Physique Academy. Welcome to today's video. Today is day one of Donut Week. So that means, just like Burger Week, we're gonna start with 2 normal donut recipes and then go to 1 fit donut recipe. And we're gonna review these one day at a time and see, are these recipes reasonable for the calories? Shout out to Daniela for the suggestion. So today, we're starting with the #1 donut video on YouTube, and that's the glazed donut by Emma's Goodies. So like we normally do around here, we're gonna take a look at this recipe and determine if Emma's a calorie queen, making a very reasonable donut for the calories for what a donut is, or if she's a calorie crook and just being way too excessive with the fats, the sugars, and any other ingredients. So the only way we're gonna do that is to watch her video, so let's just get right into it.
Hey guys, today we're making these delicious glazed fluffy donuts. I've been making donuts for years now and I finally nailed the most tender, melted.
Oh my goodness, just from a foodie's point of view here, they look so glossy, shiny, and appealing. My mouth is watering right now. I'm so excited to see these.
If you love donuts, you'll be blown away by how much better freshly made donuts taste. Okay, so
Let me know down below if you like donuts. I think they're all right, but let me know what you think.
to my flour, I've added a good grating of nutmeg, which is going to give these donuts that distinct, delicious donut flavor. I've also added the sugar and salt, and you want to give these ingredients a quick toss and set this mixture to the side. In this
I mean, obviously these ingredients aren't great from a calories perspective. Flour and sugar were the primary ones there. So if nutmeg is one of the secret ingredients she's using to make this recipe stand out, that's actually a huge perk because you're not adding almost any calories with it. And per her, you're making a huge impact on flavor. So those are the sorts of things I really love to see. So good work, Emma.
Drink cup, I have some warm milk. To it, we're going to add 1 egg, the melted butter, and yeast. Give this mixture a good mix.
That's pretty much as expected. Calories are starting to add up pretty fast at this point, and we haven't even talked about a glaze or something like that, which is going to be full of fat and sugar, I bet. Let's stay tuned.
Now, if you're using your mixer, mix your dough on high for 3 minutes. You'll see this dough is quite sticky and soft. This is how you want it to be. Do not be tempted to add extra flour. At the most, you can add an additional 1 or 2 tablespoons of flour, but keep in mind, this is the texture you want this dough to be. Now,
So I'm glad she's saying that because if you don't need to add any more flour to something that's already pretty full of flour, it's great to not. It's just one of those things where if you get used to adding extra flour to all your recipes, that over time is what's gonna come out and get you. So take her advice.
It's so soft. To make your life easier, you're going to add half a tablespoon of oil onto your work surface. This will prevent the dough from sticking to your board without having to add extra flour. Oil your hands as well, and you're going to start kneading the dough. This will take some time.
I don't know if having flour to keep the dough from sticking is a bad thing for the dough, but if it isn't, that from a calories perspective would be much, much better than oil. So keep that in mind.
If you've seen my previous bread video, I did touch on that. I'll leave a link to that video in the description box, but keep in mind this will take anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. The dough will be elastic and soft, and inevitably and eventually.
Yeah, you can see just in those clips there, the dough has been absorbing that oil, and that's a quick calorie add. So you don't like to see that.
And after 10 minutes of kneading, you're going to transfer the dough into a lightly greased bowl. I like to give my dough somewhat of a shape. This isn't necessary though. And you're going to cover it well using some plastic wrap or a damp kitchen towel. And this needs to rise for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. It just needs to double in size. Okay,
so those are these little touches where if you can get away with using like a non-stick spray on the pan, especially since she's now greased her hands, this surface, and the bowl. There are much better ways to do this from a calories perspective.
Fast forward 1.5 hours later. At this point, you can flour your work area. We don't want the donuts to stick. The dough should have doubled in size, and you'll see it also becomes easier to work with and it won't be as tacky. Flour the top of your dough as well. I like to press it down to pop any air bubbles, and you're going to roll this out, I'd say to about 1/2 inch thickness.
Okay, so it sounds like she did need to be greasing there. Again, fats have double the calories of carbs, more than double. So when you can use a flour for the sake of nonstick, it is a step better than using oil, but still not as good as using one of those no calorie sprays like pan.
Be able to get around a dozen donuts because I have this small donut cutter. I was able to get around 15 donuts.
One small donut's gonna make you feel satisfied, and it's more likely to fit in your calories than one big donut that's gonna have a ton of calories and give you a sugar crash. I like how she divvied this up into 15. That's a good number. That's a really good number for this recipe.
That's round. You're going to place the donuts onto some parchment paper, leaving some space between each donut, and let these rise again for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so moving on to frying these babies, I'm going to give you a...
Now that is something I wasn't really taking into account. So really huge that she divvied these up into 15 to kind of spread the calorie load in as many pieces as possible.
Now I find that the best temperature for frying donuts is actually around 160 degrees Celsius or 320. Cooking the donuts at a slightly lower temperature will assure you that beautiful even browning and a super soft donut. If you have a
Wow, that color right now just looks absolutely divine. That said, that oil is adding a ton of calories. At least your cheat food is gonna look really, really pretty.
thermometer, use it. If you don't, just make sure your donuts are bubbling gently. You may have to adjust your flame as you're cooking these, so keep that in mind. And you're going to cook these on both sides until they're beautifully golden. Set these onto a wire rack or...
The red fire alarm is going off in my head now. This is approaching bomb territory, but let's see.
Towels, and we're going to make that delicious glaze. For the glaze, you'll need some melted butter. To it, we're going to add the milk and powdered sugar. You can add a splash of vanilla. I'm actually using vanilla powdered sugar, so I won't be adding any today. Now, depending on how you like your glaze, thick or thin.
Also, shout out to Emma, because when it comes to these ingredients, she is telling it like it is. I know some chefs will be like, add a little sugar as they pour the whole bag of sugar in, or add a little bit of butter, and they'll put in 2 sticks. She's not sugarcoating anything. So I do really appreciate that, and that's a very subtle thing too.
You're going to add more milk or more sugar. I personally prefer a thinner glaze. Drop your donuts 1 or 2 at a time into the glaze. Make sure you coat these entirely in the glaze. They're going to be so good, guys. I promise you. And you're going to place these onto a wire rack to drip, the excess glaze.
That's also very huge. The fact that you're using this wire rack to get the extra glaze. Any glaze that the donut doesn't need is huge in terms of saved calories. So take off excess.
This glaze will set just like Krispy Kreme donuts. These will be better than any donut you will ever buy. I need to immediately show you how soft and tender these are. I guarantee you that when you make these, you won't be able to stop and just what? They're so good.
Generally why I'm not a big desserts person in the first place, not only because I have more of a savory tooth than a sweet tooth, but yeah, desserts are designed to be overeaten. No one makes these donuts and is just trying to bait you into only eating one. That's a fallacy. If you just blindly sit next to this recipe while you're doing your work, just have a casual 16 donuts to the side, you're in for a bad time. Your stomach, in for a bad time. But these look incredible.
Glaze starts to set, it'll become this crackly, soft glaze. The entire donut will just melt in your mouth.
So that seems to be the video for the glazed donut. Emma crushed it from a videographer's perspective. This was a really cool video. All her shots were fire. Did she really become a villain with just flagrant and excessive use of stuff? I'm gonna say she's a calorie queen because A, her use of the small serving size, very, very critical maneuver to help cap the upside of each of these individual donuts. And then number 2, you could tell outside of using the oil liberally for stick purposes, she was trying to be mindful of adding too much stuff to this. So at the end of the day, Yes, this recipe is high calories. Yes, this recipe cannot be argued as healthy and additive from a health and nutrition perspective. But can you say that Emma took a donut recipe and kept it as reasonable as possible for a glazed donut's sake? Yes. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for watching the video. Episode 1 of Donut Week is done. We've got 2 more lined up, 1 more normal one and 1 more fit one. I'm super pumped. If you don't want to miss that, subscribe to the channel, come along for the ride. You're gonna have a great time. Burger Week was a blast. Go check that out if you haven't seen it already. And again, if you like these videos, you want me to keep making more, hit that like button, help this channel grow, get the algorithm on our side. We're creating this momentum. We're gonna get everyone healthy, have a good time here on this channel. So I'll see you on episode 2. Have a great rest of the day.